Breaking news, February 5th, 2026. We are seeing a massive upheaval happening inside the Kremlin right now.
That's huge.
Vladimir Putin is moving to completely overhaul Russia's political system. He is basically swapping out established politicians for war veterans from the invasion of Ukraine.
It's more than just a swap, though. I'd call it a desperate gamble to militarize the entire bureaucracy. He's trying to secure the regime.
It's a massive story. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of it, I just want to appeal to you, our listeners. Stand for freedom, stand for justice, and stand with Ukraine.
Absolutely.
To stay ahead of everything that's happening, please always subscribe to Defense Reports. It really is your go-to source for timely, in-depth military analysis.
Being informed right now is probably our most powerful tool.
Join me in the latest program by Defense Report for the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we are diving deep into the Kremlin's incredibly risky plan to institutionalize war right before the State Duma elections.
This is what we've been calling the new elite strategy. Putin has been out there publicly declaring that the true elite of Russia, it's not the oligarchs anymore, it's not the technocrats.
It's the soldiers.
It's the soldiers coming back from the front. He's even launched this program called Time of Heroes, which is designed to, fast-track these guys straight into government jobs.
And it's not just random soldiers, right? Looking at the United Russia candidate lists for September, they're being very specific. We're seeing figures like Vladislav Golovin.
Yeah.
He's the head of the Unermia Youth Army.
Yeah, and the war correspondent, Yevgeny Podubny.
Right at the top.
Golovin is the really key one here. You have to understand, the Kremlin knows it has a huge problem with the younger generation. I mean, they're not watching state TV.
No, they're completely disconnected from that whole imperial ideology.
Exactly. So they're using Golovin to try and bridge that gap, and they're doing it in a very modern way through gaming.
This is the part that I find just astounding. They're pushing a computer game called Squad 22, ZOV.
It's a cynical move, but from their perspective, it's strategic. They can't reach young people on the evening news, so they're trying to embed the war directly into their entertainment.
So the goal is to just normalize it all.
To make the war a permanent fixture of Russian life, it gives this new elite a cultural base to stand on, not just a political one.
Okay, but you can release all the video games you want. Actually getting these guys into the machinery of government, that's a whole other story. We're seeing reports from sources like Vyorska and Meduza that say the regional elites are just sabotaging these appointments.
And that's the real friction point. The existing bureaucrats, the career officials, they see these veterans as total outsiders.
They don't have the skills.
They see them as lacking any real managerial experience, no education for the job. There's this quote going around that just captures the disdain perfectly. They're saying, Vasya from the trenches doesn't have a clue.
Vasya from the trenches. Wow. That's a brutal way to talk about Putin's supposed heroes.
It is, but look at the numbers. The data backs it up. Despite all the propaganda around Time of Heroes, these veterans only managed to get 1% of the mandates in the last regional elections.
1%.
1%. The system is fundamentally rejecting the transplant. And when they do get a job, it's often some token position with no real power. It's just to keep them in check, so they don't cause trouble.
And keeping them in check seems pretty necessary because we're also hearing about some significant behavioral issues.
It's a huge liability. You got reports of alcohol abuse, brawls, just a general inability to fit into an office environment. But, it gets much, much darker when you start looking at the crime statistics.
Right, because this new elite isn't just made up of standard soldiers. There's a very specific, very dangerous subset in there.
You have to remember how they built this army. They recruited over 180,000 convicts, first by Wagner, and then the Ministry of Defense just took over the program.
So we're talking about violent offenders.
Many of them are, yes, released from prison with no rehabilitation, no support, and just sent back into society.
And the fallout from that is already happening on Russian streets.
It is. British intelligence is reporting that over 550 Russian civilians have been killed by returning veterans. Another 465 have been injured. These are shocking numbers for a country that's supposedly at peace at home.
So the Kremlin is, in effect, injecting a volatile, traumatized, and in many cases, criminal element right into the heart of its own government.
Precisely. In his attempt to build a loyal buffer against the old guard, Putin is creating a new class of loyalists who are fundamentally unstable. It is a ticking time bomb for Russian society.
It certainly raises the stakes for 2026. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your trusted source for timely, in-depth military and defense analysis. We'll see you next time. Keep supporting us so we can continue bringing you the latest developments from Ukraine and around the world.
And here's a final thought for you to chew on. If the Kremlin is alienating its competent bureaucrats to promote volatile veterans, are they actually securing the regime's future, or are they just accelerating its collapse?